Hey everybody, Eric Hayden here on YouTube. It's getting dark, so this is going to be a quick video. I want to show you a cool tool that I got for the garden. Specifically, it's a soil sampler. When you do a soil test for pH or the nutrients in your soil, you want to get down to the root zone. And you can do that with a shovel. You can do it different ways, pull back the mulch, but one of the easiest ways is to use a probe, a soil probe that goes into the ground. I could have probably made one of these. It was about $50, so not super cheap, but the reviews are really good. So it just came in the mail the other day. I'm gonna do more follow-up videos on how I use it, but it's been pretty hot and dry recently, so I just set the sprinklers to about 35 minutes, and that should put down about 4 gallons of water for each rose bush. And if you've seen some of our prior videos, we mentioned they need about 1 inch to 2 inches per week, and that's about 4 gallons once or twice a week. So I'll do the sprinklers 2 times a week during normal weather where it hasn't rained, and 3 times a week when it's hot. Anyway, I want to show you, I just snuck out here real quick and did the first soil sample, and I was kind of curious, how deep does the water penetrate? So I've got these shrubblers, they're pressure compensating. You can clearly see where they watered, and I'm thinking of getting 2 emitters per rose bush, because you can see they make a nice 360-degree circle, and it gets this side of the plant toward the bud union, but that side of the plant's dry. I'm not sure how much it matters, but just for my own peace of mind, I might try to add more. I just have to watch out how much output my sprinkler system's putting. If the more I add, it might lower the volume. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But just out of curiosity, I pulled back the soil from one of the emitters to see how deep I was getting. So I pulled back the mulch. In this case, this is Let Freedom Ring. You can see the topsoil is obviously moist. The mulch is moist. So after 35 minutes, how far down is this penetrating? And that's where the soil sampler comes in. It's this piece of metal. It's got a cross T, and you put it down into the soil as far as you want to go, pressing down with this cross T. And then once you get to the level you want, you twist it around so that you get a core of the soil. So you lift it right back on out, and voila, I have a nice core of my soil. And I just think that's the coolest thing. The first thing I notice is the different layers, and hopefully this is showing up well. I'm gonna try to move around so we get a little brighter any daylight we have. Okay, so where my finger's pointing now, that's near the top of the soil. You can see how organic it is. I've added a lot of compost through the years. It still has sand in it, of course, but it is dark. Now, as we're going from right to left with my hand, we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the soil. And you can see that that structure of the soil, I'm trying to do this with one hand, changes. See that lighter color? It's more pure sand. So that's a pretty cool way to get a soil profile of your soil. And again, when you're measuring for pH and stuff like that, this is a handy tool. You take a couple samples around the garden, mix it up in a container, and then put that in your box, and that way you get an accurate reading. Now, back to the moisture. I don't know if you can see this, but it's real wet here, and even, you probably won't be able to see it, but even down here, look how the sand is wet. You probably can tell that. So my 35 minutes is watering deep into the root zone, pretty much confirming what I wanted to confirm, hopefully, was 35 minutes on my dripper is more than sufficient. The output is 8 gallons an hour, so that's putting out 4 gallons. And indeed, not only am I watering the top couple inches, I'm going down nice and deep. And if I run my hand all the way to the bottom, all the way to the very, very bottom, that sand or soil is actually moist. So I know that I'm getting the water down into the root zone. So that's a pretty quick video. We'll do more. You can buy these on Amazon. I haven't seen them at a garden store. This is the one that I got. It's samples down to 8 inches. So pretty neat device. And again, move the mulch away, stick it down turn it, and pull out, and you get yourself a nice core. And we just showed the difference in soil type I have from, the organic stuff near the top of the layer to pure sand down at the bottom. And then we also showed that we got pretty good water penetration from the drippers. So that's pretty darn cool. I'm excited about that. I'll replace that back, and we'll go from there. So I know it's hot and dry in a lot of the country. Some of us are seeing some rain from tropical systems and so forth, but tropical downpours with our afternoon thunderstorms. You gotta stay on top of that watering, and you certainly wanna make sure that you're watering deep into the root zone. So if you haven't heard the saying is water infrequently but deeply instead of infrequently and shallow. You wanna water real deep. So you might only water once or twice a week, but you wanna make it a long period so it gets deep into the root zone. That's Crescendo. An update on the blooms. There's not much to show you because we just deadheaded. This is Jewel Grace. This over here is Zach Nobles. That is Sport of Let Freedom Ring. You can see the grass is growing real well. I've had the irrigation system going about once a week for the grass. Same type of concept. Water infrequently but very deep. This is a new rose I haven't grown before, Secret. It's a hybrid tea. If you like a rose that's fragrant and has form, really nice rose form, that's one that you might want to try out. And even though we've deadheaded and we're past peak, I'm always impressed with Double Delight. There's just so many blooms. This has already bloomed, and look at all these buds coming. So some bushes have a distinct period where they bloom, then they stop, and then 5 to 6 weeks later you get a new flush. A lot of new growth on Double Delight and continued blooms. I wouldn't say a continuous flush, but man, we've already had blooms on this plant, and you can tell as I walk around, new growth and new buds are certainly coming. So that's it in the garden. I wanted to sneak that in. Do you sample your soil with a soil probe? Do you ever dig down and see how far you're watering? Based on this, I confirm that I don't need much more than 30-35 minutes. In fact, I could probably even cut that down a little more, seeing how moist we were deep into the root zone. And if you have drippers, do you have more than one? You can see that it waters real well there, but I'm dry over here. So maybe in the next test, I'm gonna try to see how much of that water goes in the horizontal, and do I have some water farther away from where it actually drips out. Hope everyone's doing well. And again, as always, I appreciate the new subscribers. Take care, everyone.